Welcome to the Fearful Fright series, where we will be reading with our favorite green ghoul, Grimmer. Now sit back and enjoy this twisted tale. Today our story is called Harvest of the Hungry Soil. The envelope arrived with no return address, just a smudge of dirt where a stamp should have been. Elias Harrow found it tucked halfway into the splintered wood of his mailbox, as if someone had pushed it in by hand and then thought better of knocking. He stood there for a long moment, staring at it while the wind whispered through the empty cornfields behind him. Probably junk, he muttered. But he took it anyway. Inside the farmhouse, his wife, Margaret, was standing at the sink, peeling potatoes in slow, practiced motions. The radio crackled faintly in the corner, barely holding onto a signal. "Mail?" she asked without turning. "Something like that." Elias slid a finger under the envelope's edge. It tore open too easily. Inside was a small paper packet, folded tight, and a note written in thin, spidery handwriting. "Plant them. They'll feed you well." Margaret turned when she heard him go quiet. "What is it?" He handed her the note. She read it twice, frowning. "That's odd." Elias opened the packet. Inside were seeds, dark, almost black, with a strange sheen to them. They didn't look like anything he'd ever planted before. "Probably some kind of promotional thing," he said, though he didn't believe it. "Maybe from one of those agricultural companies." Margaret stepped closer, peering at the seeds. "They look healthy. That's one word for it." She smiled faintly. "We've had worse luck." That was true. The last 3 seasons had been brutal: drought, rot, pests. Their land had stopped giving like it used to, as if the soil itself had grown tired. Margaret reached out, gently taking a few seeds into her palm. "What's the harm in trying a few rows?" Elias hesitated. Then he nodded. They planted the seeds at the far edge of the field, where the soil was still soft from recent rain. Elias worked the shovel while Margaret followed behind, pressing the seeds into the earth with careful fingers. The sky hung low and gray above them, the air thick and unmoving. "You ever seen seeds like these?" she asked. "No. They're warm." Elias paused. "Warm." Margaret held one up. "Just a little. Like they've been sitting in the sun." But they hadn't. Elias didn't say anything more. They covered the last row, patted the soil flat, and went back inside. That night, Elias woke to a sound. A faint, wet rustling. At first he thought it was the wind moving through the fields, but it was wrong, too close, too deliberate. He sat up in bed. "Margaret," he whispered. She stirred. "What is it?" "Listen." They both held still. The sound came again. SHFF, SHFF, SHFF. Like something dragging itself through dirt. Margaret sat up. "It's coming from outside." Elias grabbed his coat and lantern. "Stay here." "I'm not staying here alone." He didn't argue. They stepped out onto the porch together, the lantern casting a weak circle of light around them. The field was dark. Too dark. Even the outline of the rows seemed off. "Do you see that?" Margaret whispered. Elias squinted. The soil where they had planted the seeds, he could have sworn it looked disturbed. Not like something had dug into it, but like something had pushed its way out. He took a step forward. The lantern flickered. And then, something moved. A shape, low to the ground, writhing just beneath the surface. Margaret gasped. "Elias." The earth split. A thick, green stalk burst upward, unfurling in seconds like a time lapse gone wrong. Leaves spread wide, glossy and wet, and at the top, something like a bud pulsed, breathing. Elias stumbled back. "That's not." Another one erupted. And another. Within moments, the entire row was alive, plants growing at impossible speed, twisting toward the lantern light as if they could see it. The buds began to open. Inside were rows of pale, soft-looking tendrils. They moved. Not with the wind. With intention. Margaret grabbed Elias's arm. "We need to go inside. Now." One of the plants leaned toward them. The tendrils extended, stretching farther than they should have, brushing against Elias's boot. He jerked back. The tendrils snapped toward him. They retreated to the house, slamming the door behind them. For a long time, neither of them spoke. By morning, the field looked normal. The plants were gone. Only freshly turned soil remained. Elias walked out cautiously, scanning the ground. "Maybe we imagined it," he said, though his voice lacked conviction. Margaret shook her head. "No." She pointed. There, near the edge of the row, was something half buried. Elias knelt, brushing dirt away. It was a bone. Small. Clean. Too clean. Margaret covered her mouth. That wasn't there before. Elias stood slowly. "We're digging those seeds up." But when they reached the spot, there was nothing there. No seeds. No roots. Just empty soil. The next few days were good. Better than good. The rest of their crops began to thrive. Corn grew taller. The vegetables ripened faster, fuller, healthier than they had in years. Margaret laughed more. Elias slept deeper. It felt like a blessing. Until the animals started disappearing. First, a chicken. Then two. Then one of the goats. Elias searched the property, but found no tracks. No blood. No sign of struggle. Just absence. "They wandered off," he said. Margaret didn't answer. That night, the rustling came back. Louder this time. Closer. Elias grabbed the lantern again, but Margaret caught his arm. "Don't go out there. We can't just." "They're feeding," she said quietly. Elias stared at her. "What?" Margaret's eyes were fixed on the window. "Listen." The sound wasn't just rustling anymore. It was chewing. Slow. Wet. Elias's stomach turned. "We need to burn that field." Margaret shook her head. "No." "What do you mean, no?" "They've helped us," she said. "Look at the crops. Look at what we have now." "At what cost?" Margaret finally looked at him. And something in her expression had changed. "They're hungry," she said. "That's all." Elias didn't sleep that night. Near dawn, he heard the back door creak open. He sat up. "Margaret." No answer. He rushed outside. The field was moving again. Plants rose from the soil, taller now, thicker, their buds fully open, revealing dark, hollow centers lined with those writhing tendrils. And Margaret. She was standing among them. "Margaret!" Elias shouted. "Get out of there!" She turned slowly. She was smiling. "They're beautiful," she said. A tendril wrapped gently around her wrist. Elias ran forward. Let go of her. The plants shifted. Several turned toward him at once. Margaret stepped closer to one of the open buds, reaching out as if to touch it. "They're not hurting me," she said softly. "They know me. Margaret, please." The tendrils moved faster. They coiled around her arm, her waist. Elias lunged forward. But more tendrils shot out, blocking him, snapping at the air. Margaret didn't struggle. She leaned in. "They're hungry, Elias," she whispered. And then she stepped inside. The plant closed around her. Elias screamed. The bud pulsed once. Twice. Then stilled. Silence fell over the field. The plants slowly sank back into the earth, as if they had never been there. Elias stood alone. Weeks passed. The farm flourished. More than ever before. Elias worked the fields in silence, his face hollow, his movements mechanical. He never touched the far edge of the land. Never looked at it. But every night, he heard them. Rustling. Waiting. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Elias walked to the mailbox. Another envelope sat inside. No stamp. No return address. His hands trembled as he opened it. Inside was another packet of seeds. And a note. This one was written in a familiar hand. Margaret's. They need more room. Plant these deeper this time. Elias stared at the words, his breath catching. Behind him, the field shifted. The soil at the far edge began to stir. And for the first time since she was taken, he heard Margaret's voice. Soft. From beneath the ground. Elias, we're still hungry.